Thank you very much, Dr. Mutua, for your comments and your commitment towards the APB. If I'm able to just recap a few things that you have spoken about, you've said that you are committed to supporting the benevolent fund set up under APB alongside the Media Council of Kenya. You've spoken about some of the efforts that you're undertaking to train programming managers at media stations, to work with APB to create the Hall of Fame at the Nairobi Film Center, working with the Nairobi Metropolitan Service for the creation of the Arts District around the Aga Khan Walk area of Nairobi. And you made some comments that we probably some good discussions for this group, and that is the impact of two media, I think we call them media moguls, the likes of Aruru Washira and Patrick Kwako, on the nature and the quality of our reporting and media practice. And you've said that journalism is a calling, and one would ask, at what price is this calling? But now, without further ado, I would like to hand over the program to my co-host, my co-moderator. I'll just give him a short introduction, Mr. Omole Asiko, who is the current manager of the popular Luo FM station, Mayenga FM, but he has previously worked as a sports journalist with a lot of international experience. He is the holder of a Bachelor of Arts degree in communication and has over 30 years experience in the broadcasting sector. Another fun fact about him is that he's the current Secretary General of the Kekoso Games. And so over to you, Mr. Asiko, to take us through the Constitution, aspects of the Constitution for the Association of Professional Broadcasters. Over to you, Mr. Asiko.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for taking us through since we started. Thank you for the great call. I hope you can all hear me properly. Can you all hear me? Mine is a very serious today. I'm honored to take through the general overview of the Constitution of APBK. And you will agree with me that the importance of a progressive constitution for a young organization like APBK cannot be said. Constitution of any organization, even active movement, contains the fundamental principles which govern its operations and also guides sort of a goal for the organization. Bylaws is the rule of governance which group stable function. So without much ado, it is ability to use
Mr. Siko, sorry to interrupt you. We are having difficulties hearing you. There seems to be a problem with your connection. You're breaking quite a bit. So I don't know if there's something you can do about your connection, but failing that, maybe to just speak a bit slower so that we can capture your words. Thank you.
Are you able to hear now?
It keeps breaking, but you can just speak slowly.
Okay. Hope now you can hear me. As I was saying, I'm thanking you, Paul, for taking us through the first part of the presentation. And I was saying that I'm greatly honored to take you through the general overview of the Constitution of APBK. I hope you can now all hear me properly, Paul. Good. You will all agree with me that the constitution of any young organization like APBK is very important towards its development and its job. The constitution for any organization or a country contains the fundamental principles which govern its operations. And the Bible establishes the specific rules and which a group is functioning. So putting a lot of time, allow me now to introduce what is going to take us through this. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Mbugua Njoroge, who is currently the Vice President of the African Society of Kenya. He is an expert in media and communications and intellectual property. Dr. Mbugua has 18 years experience gained in various communication fields in the country, and is also currently the Vice President, as I've said, of our Public Relations Society of Kenya, a member of the Media Council of Kenya. He has served as a board member of the National Anti-Corruption Steering Committee, as an anti-corruption steering campaign, and he is also the head of communication to ISPAC, that's the Institute of Public Accountants of Kenya. I also like to inform you that he is an holder of a Doctor of Philosophy from the Kenyatta University, an MA in Communication Studies, and postgraduate diploma in Mass Communication, both from University of Nairobi. He also has a Master of Intellectual Property from Africa University, Zimbabwe, and Bachelor of Education from Egerton University. So we, as you can see, we are dealing with a gentleman who is very, very well versed with public policy issues. And allow me at this point to give the floor to Dr. Mbugua Njoroge, who I hope is already with us. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Bwana Asiko, for that great introduction. And as I start presenting on this, I would like also to recognize the very good words from the chief guest, Dr. Motua, also my colleague, CEO David Omoyo from MCK, Tabitha Mutemi, the chair, thank you very much. We also have veterans, and I'm actually going to say that this morning I'm standing on the shoulders of the giants, the people that I used to admire when I was a young boy, listening to them. Great to have you around. I also wish to recognize all members of APB for having come together to launch this important entity that is going to solidify the progress and the development of the media in our country. And also the previous speakers like Abdul Haq, Mariam Omar, and Fred Obachi Machoka. So I'm going to take you through the Constitution, and allow me to, maybe the host, you can disassemble so that I can share the screen. I'm able to share I wanted to make a PowerPoint presentation.
We're doing so right now. Just hold on.
So maybe to start off, I would wish to say that I was involved in the making of the Constitution, and it's going to be a short presentation, trying to make. Okay,
now, you can try now.
Okay, let me try sharing. Are you able to see from where you sit?
Yes, sir. It is showing now.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, Paul. And I would like to go through this Constitution. I think you can see the Constitution of Association of Professional Broadcasters. And I would like to start by saying that this Constitution have got 3 pillars. The first pillar is it wishes to create Association of Professional Broadcasters. Then it wishes to protect the interests of members and also delimitate the roles between various organs of the association. And we are going to see which are these organs that will be governing this important organization. Then there are certain guiding principles I wish to highlight. The vision of this organization, and this has been captured very well in the Constitution, is a timeless professional broadcasting for all. And then the values is timelessness, visionary, relevance, diligence, and balance. If you look at those values, if you are to have the acronym, T and V stand for television, because T for timeliness, vision, that is also make the word television. Then relevance, that R stands for radio. Diligence stands for digital, now that we're also in the digital space. So that whatever we'll be doing here as an association will encompass even issues to do with the digital space, and the need also for broadcasting, and that's why we have balance. The mission of this organization is to promote excellence in broadcast journalism by providing a forum for networking, exchanging skills and knowledge. More information about APB, I think much has been mentioned by the previous speakers. The name Association of Professional Broadcasters will be abbreviated as APB. And this maybe also to note is that this constitution is in compliance with the Societies Act, because we have been registered under the Societies Act. And then number two, this organization is apolitical, is not associated to any political or religious groupings, and is a non-political, non-profit making membership organization registered under the Societies Act, Chapter 108 of Laws of Kenya. And that means that it's a public body, meaning that if you're a public body, then you are bound by the constitutional provisions. And the one thing that as we move along is also to understand the nitty-gritties of the constitutional provisions. We have a very elaborate Bill of Rights. We have Article 10 on national values and principles that we need to abide with, and other various constitutional provisions that we must abide with from time to time. Then let me go directly to the objective of the association. That is Article 4 of this constitution. I think Chairman Tabitha had mentioned some of them, but allow me, for the purposes of us understanding what does it entail, to go one by one briefly. The first one is establishing and promoting a high standard of professional ethics and learning in broadcasting in Kenya. I think that issue has already been said by the previous speakers, the need to have this. And the second one is to nurture and mentor young professionals in the field of broadcasting in Kenya in bid to redefine policy. And when I'm looking at some of the comments that are coming on the chat area, I think people are asking, what are we going to do as an organization? Are we going to nurture and mentor? And I'm glad that Media Council of Kenya and Kenya Film Classification Board, they are committing themselves to preparing this particular agenda going forward. Number three is to engage and advise on matters of national interest related to broadcasting for both the public and private sector. The organization wants to occupy that important space in terms of commenting on matters of public interest as and when is necessary, because that is the space that we need to occupy as a veteran and upcoming broadcasters. The number four is to lobby for the enactment of relevant laws. So lobbying is very important for the promotion of broadcasting as a profession. Today we know that we have various pieces of legislation regulating media sector. We have Khisa Act, we have Film and Stage Plays Act, we have Media Council Act, among others. So that we have to look at them, or the members have now to go back in their drawing board and see what need to be changed, what need to be improved, because we always work on the mantra from the good to great. The other one is to contribute to the improvement of professionalism through education, research, training in broadcasting, and then collaborating with the stakeholders and like-minded organizations to promote broadcasting broadcast standards. That's number 6. Or number 7 is to create positive corporate brand image and identity for broadcasters, whether the past broadcasters, the current, or even future broadcasters, because we are professionals and we need to be seen from that angle. The number 8 is to honor veteran broadcasters, and that's why you can see that image of KBC, because this is the first broadcasting station in the country where it honed a number of our people, veterans, they worked for that station. And you have heard of the plight of some of them, how they are living in squatter life, and how to ensure that we uplift their lives or standards. And when I say we, I'm using that word as to refer to the representatives and the ideals, like Loyal We, what we call Loyal We. Then number 9 is to raise funds for development and implementation of the association objectives. Number 10, to provide professional advice on broadcasting equipment. Number 11, to offer professional recruitment services for media and other corporate enterprises. Number 12 is to receive and realize subscriptions, donations, gifts, grants in aid and interest, and all other sums that may be due to or receivable by the association. Number 13, in total there are 16, so we are about to finish, to bring unity and mutual understanding among members through promotion of the holistic development of members. That is moral, whether it's physical, socio-economic, and material development. And I think after this presentation, I think there's another presentation on benevolent fund, which now addresses this particular concern. Number 14 is to establish branches and subcommittees for purposes of effectively meeting the obligations as spelled out in the objectives. And I think Omole alluded to the fact that the Media Council of Kenya is opening 4 branches in the country, and he has offered to host the association from those which are stationed in those branches, so that they can do their activities in collaboration with the branches that will be opened by the MCK in the course of this year. Then number 15 is to establish media schools and broadcasting enterprises. That is for radio, television, and digital platform. Now that you know that we live in the age of convergence, everything is converging on that small gadget that you're having, the mobile phone and laptop and what have you. And then number 16 is to initiate and carry out other objects of general utility and affairs agreed by members of the association. Article 16 is on membership. And I like to go one by one on this. Let me see, because I think the first one is that this association is open to any professional broadcaster over the age of 18 years, but subject to approval by the committee and payment of requisite fees, because there will be requisite fees. And the issue of subscriptions, this one has been left to the executive committee to come up with a figure which should be ratified by members in the annual general meeting from time to time. And then the annual subscription fee shall be paid not later than 15th day of March every year. And this article particularly includes information on resignation and expulsion of members. So I have not captured everything, just for the purposes of maintaining time and making it short. Then on article number 7, we have the office bearers. And I think already Tabitha has spoken. She's the currently the chair, interim chair. So we have the chairperson, the vice chairperson, the honorable secretary, the honorable treasurer, event and program director, assistant secretary, Those are 7 official members that forms what we call executive committee. And the duties are well spelled out in the Constitution for each and every office bearer, what is expected of them. So that is Article 7 of that Constitution. Then let me go to Article 11. Article 11 is on the meetings, how the meetings will be conducted. And here we have got a category of the meetings. One, we have executive committee meetings. Remember, this is a body that will be charged with the responsibility of running the day-to-day affairs of the association. Then we have special general meeting, SGM, and then annual general meeting. So we have 3 types of meetings. We have the executive committee meetings. This is like the board. Now that runs the association on behalf of members, about 7. Then special general meetings that can be called upon in case of anything that either member has petitioned the executive committee, they want maybe a constitution to be changed, or any other matter that need to be canvassed by the entire membership. It can occur at any time in any given period of the year. I think there's somebody who need to mute their mic kindly, so that all of us, I think Mr. Asiko, you can mute your mic. Then we have the annual general meeting. The annual general meeting is a pretty statutory provision for the organization as per the Societies Act. You can agree that to have it at the end of the year, mid-year, or early in the year. And this is the time when you now go through normal processes. We have the report from the executive committee. We have got the report from the auditors, and also election of office bearers, because you have to keep electing office bearers as per the Constitution. So those are 3 types of meetings that are well articulated and included in the Constitution. And then I've also talked about the issues of quorum at SGM, that is special general meeting, and AGM is pegged at 2/3 of paid up members of the association. Then another important article that I thought it is important to bring on board is Article 13 on trustees. Now that is like a body corporate, meaning that in future you are going to have properties, assets, you are going to acquire movable and immovable assets. You are likely also to be involved in investment and all that. And for this reason, we are saying that this property on behalf of the association will be managed by 3 trustees. And these trustees shall be members of the association and will be appointed. And the word here, shall be appointed, meaning that will be mandatory requirement, that they shall be appointed at an annual general meeting for a period of 3 years. As we move, I think we are doing the baby steps. As we move forward, the organization is likely to grow as long as we are going to be bound together, like the ties that bind. And I think, Tabitha, you said that you presented that program in the days of the year. How do we then ensure that whatever we are going to get in terms of our assets are well protected and promoted on behalf of the others? And that's why we are talking about the trustees. Then Article 14, how are we going to use the funds? And you have realized that most of the organizations within the public space, this has been very contentious. Issues of money, how do you utilize, how do you spend? This usually is a straw that normally breaks the camel's back. And the funds of the association, here we are saying that may only be used for the following purposes. Number 1, capacity building and development, research, training and community engagement, coaching, and mentorship programs, project investment and welfare activities, and advertising and marketing. And these need now to be the guiding principles as we move forward as an association, ensuring that the money is spent prudently and within the confines of the best standards, accounting standards, so that you can be able to get credibility and trust of other members. And then we are saying Article 15 that the account of the organization and the list of members will be open to scrutiny to all. Now we are talking about issues of public participation and Article 10 and other provisions in the Constitution, meaning that we want to operate, we want to have disclosures as much as possible so that we can get the license to operate amongst our members. And we are saying the books of account, documents relating thereto, and list of members and registers of the association shall be available for inspection at the registered office of the association by any member on giving not less than 7 days notice in writing to the association. And then what about the amendment and dissolution of the Constitution? Here we have two important articles, Article 17 and Article 18, meaning that either you can amend this Constitution through special general meeting or AGM as and when any member feels and is able to convince other members of the need to do so, but also dissolution. Anything that is born sometime has got a lifeline, it dies. Assuming that our association is going to die, there is also a procedure that we have to follow before the association is dissolved. And I think those two articles are very clear on how this is supposed to be done. And this is also a caveat here that the amendment or dissolution must be sanctioned by the registrar of societies. And members, as Shakespeare said, that the brevity is in the soul of wit. I wish to stop there. If there is any question or comment, and thank you very much for lending me your ears. Thank you very much, Asiko.
Thank you, Omole. It's a great pleasure to join fellow broadcasters. However, Omole, I think his sound was not being audible enough, and he could not pass for his program if it was an insert for sports. But altogether, we've had you. So I think I'll like to take this opportunity to thank all veteran broadcasters and current broadcasters for bringing us together on this platform, which I think is a milestone regarding what I think we have been dreaming to do. Because I remember in mid-2000, we had one. We were trying out for mentorship with Christine Nguku and many other broadcast journalists, but it didn't take off very well. But however, it's a pleasure that we are now here, and it is a dawn in broadcasting, which I really want to thank all our colleagues, former colleagues, and colleagues who are in the media and other professions. So mine is very little. I have been given the privilege to introduce one of my former colleague and also current colleague at Daystar University, Dr. Esther Muthoni-King'ori, who is going to talk to us about mentorship strategies, which I am very sure that it is the purpose of our meeting today, or this inaugural workshop today. Mentorship is one of the things that we lack in many professions. Like we've had many speakers like Uncle Fred spoke earlier, regarding how do we pass the baton to the upcoming broadcasters? What do we need to do? What strategies do we need to employ as a profession to ensure that we bring on board people who are going to be trusted? Because I remember when I was growing up, you could not believe anything said if VOK has not said it. So, like Dr. Mutua also said, I think some of the things that we need to do, we don't have to compete the bloggers, don't have to compete social media. All we need to do is that we need to keep in our lane, mentor properly the upcoming broadcasters, and ensure that we are authentic enough to be believed without telling people we have to be believed or trusted. So I think to bring us some of the strategies that this Broadcasters Association is going to do is none other than Dr. Esther Kingori. Esther Kingori is a lecturer at the Daystar University in Kenya. Muthoni has a PhD in communication with a specialization in media studies. Her PhD dissertation was examining the ethical frameworks of Kenya's news bloggers who are not mainstream journalists, the ones we call in media training standby journalists. She is an adjunct lecturer at Daystar University, where she teaches mass communication and media studies. Her research interests are in media ethics, film studies, and media framing. In addition, Muthoni has worked for various media organizations in Kenya as a news reporter, an editor. She's also a media panelist for various TV stations in Kenya. It's a great pleasure to invite my colleague, Dr. Kingori, to take us through in the next session. Thank you. Karibu, Daktari.
Thank you, Daktari. Thank you again. Khisa was a colleague of mine at KBC, and now we've met again as lecturers at Daystar University. Looking at the participants, I was also able to see some of the names of the people that I've worked with, like Daniel Coril and others. My presentation will be a short one, just to look at what mentorship strategies can the association follow, because we know with the challenges that media is facing now, the opportunities and the challenges because of technology. We've had a lot of layoffs. A lot of layoffs that are happening in various media houses. Mentorship is quite important. That is one talking about, debating about these challenges is one of the questions I've had to answer in class, because there are students asking questions. What is the future of journalism? Where will they work after they finish? So these youngsters need to be mentored so that they know what the future holds. I would like to share my screen. I have a PowerPoint presentation. Can you see my screen?
We can't see your screen, Esther.
What are you seeing?
We just see your name.
Esther, maybe you could be talking as you try to upload it so that we save on time. You could just read it out as you try to upload the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the big question is, how can we successfully mentor young journalists today when the media industry is facing both challenges and opportunities? And I think the mentorship strategy is one of the big questions that this association will be tackling. I listed some of the strategies that the association can follow. One of them is there could be partnerships with universities and other training institutions so that we bring in journalists to give students practical industry skills. The other strategy could be organizing conferences and trainings where both current and veteran journalists share industry and life experiences. Another strategy could be partnerships with media organizations, like what is happening today, organizations like Media Council of Kenya, Kenya Union of Journalists, Kenya Film.
Don't worry, I'm on mute.
Communications Authority of Kenya and others. And this organization can help organize and fund conferences and trainings for upcoming journalists. The big one here, one of a big strategy is launching a mentorship program, and this program can run annually. The program could target fresh media, journalism, communication graduates, and young journalists who are already in the industry. Mentees can be selected through an application process. The period of mentorship may be 4 weeks or even several months. As I was researching, I saw a program abroad, that a mentorship program that runs for 1 year. Such a program would help young journalists think through the kind of broadcasting career they envision for themselves. And they could get a mentor to help them think out the career that they want. The mentor can be a journalist who is already established in his or her career, or a veteran journalist. And for this program to succeed, the association has to collaborate with key industry players. I know one of the key questions that the association wants to deal with is the question of veterans after they leave the screens, or we no longer hear them on radio. Where do they go? Actually, when we start this, when the association comes up with this mentorship program, it could be one of the ways that we could have these veteran journalists engaged, so that we link them with mentees for them to advise them on how to go about in their career. Another mentorship strategy could be linkages and partnerships with local and global organizations that can offer scholarships to journalists who seek to pursue further study. Because there could be journalists who are not able to pursue study because they have no scholarships. So the association could partner with these organizations and be able to help these journalists to get scholarships to study. The partnerships could also be used to get money to fund journalists who want to start media startups. Because we know with the digital revolution, the only place that graduates don't have to work in necessarily have to work in mainstream media. They are now starting up their own startups, like on YouTube and other channels. But sometimes these channels don't succeed because they have no money. So the association could help such journalists to access funding from these organizations. I'm through, Dr. Khisa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Kingori. I think one of the things that I would like to just wrap up in what she has said is that some of us owe it to where we started our careers when we were young people, and it would be very good for us if we strengthen the APB and ensure that we are giving back to society in terms of having also gained or benefited from our elder or big brothers who I'm very pleased to be talking to and seeing today. So I think it will be very important for us to come up with those strong programs to mentor, so that when we are off completely, as much as there are broadcasters who are older than us who are still broadcasting, we also need to appreciate the fact that they are operating in a very different cultural setup as opposed to ours. And that is what Dr. Mutua was talking about, the issue of catwalking from one end of the studio to the other. So which some of us older broadcasters cannot do. So we have to appreciate the fact that that is a reality and that is our culture in this part of the world. So as we do that, we can still be relevant by doing what Dr. Kingori has just said, trying to hold the hands of our young broadcasters to come up and get to know that this is the way to go. These are the challenges, because for us, we are able to see the past. Because I remember when I got into broadcasting, we were still doing film. Actually, they were cutting films to show on TV. Then we moved to reel, and we went to Betacams, Umatics. We went first to Umatics and Betacams, and then we came to the digital field that we are in today. So I strongly feel that as much as we have to say that we don't have to get off the screens, but the culture in this part of the world dictates that we have to stand somewhere, but we should still be relevant. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce a former colleague, a lady who has actually kept Sundowner going. And I really laughed about the fact that when she went to the village, she was asked, "Where did you go after leaving KBC?" Which tells you that there are things that are happening, and there is a lot of competition that's coming, and there are many broadcasters who are coming on board, and they might not be doing it maybe conventionally, and they need to be held a hand. And remember also, some of the things that we really need to look at as we get into our sunset years is how do we take care of ourselves, our other colleagues, because one of the things that I really don't look at with the comfort is this issue of people maybe setting up WhatsApp groups to donate for a colleague who is not well, a colleague who has passed on. So this is why I want to sincerely thank APB organizers, including myself, to think of benevolence. So it's a great pleasure to introduce my former colleague, Catherine Donye, who is a radio producer and a presenter with 24 years experience, currently deputy head of station, KBC English Service, the main producer and host of the Sundowner, which I will challenge most of you to be listening to. Actually, it is still burning and is doing very well. Thank you very much, my dear sister, Catherine Donye. You are welcome to speak to us and introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Dr. Khisa, just if I may interrupt, sir. Just a reminder about any questions that people may have for the section you're moderating before Catherine takes over.
So, thank you very much. I think I was a bit excited, maybe moving to the next session. But colleagues, if you have any questions for Dr. Kingori, you could ask so that before she gets off screen, so that she can respond to your concerns. Any questions, please?
Okay, I think I'll go first.
Yes, Collins.
Okay, my question is, because most of the organization, when they talk about journalists, they prefer talking of reporters, anchors, and the ones who work behind the scenes are mainly foreign. So, does the organization still still carry on with the same, or it will still bring them on board? Because I'm speaking as a member of the journalist community, but I'm working behind the scene, and as you can see, I'm fairly young, and if I can see, most of the members in the association are fairly old and wise also at the same time. So are you tagging along with the same age group who are willing to join the bandwagon, or you want to carry on with the fairly older persons in the industry first?
I'd also like to ask a question or to make a comment.
Yeah.
My name is Bernard Otieno, and I've been on radio and television for a little while, started off at KBC. I have voiced some clips on Ties That Bind that was done by Tabith. So I do remember all these good old days. On the issue of mentorship, I have to ask just about 3 questions. One, can the Media Council or even the Kenya Film Classification Board endeavor to use the veterans as their ambassadors? I have seen Dr. Mutua trying to bring sanity to what is being broadcast, radio and television, but he seems to fight a lone battle not backed by any of the veterans. I am sure the world can benefit from the experience of the veteran broadcasters. 2, can the veterans also formalize their talents? Like the Daktari said, if they get scholarships to be able to get to further their education, then this being an industry where talent is also recognized, as the Lunga is saying, the talent bases can formalize those talents with some academic background, which enables them to enter into another field altogether of teaching the youngsters, because these youngsters have a lot of questions beyond just the practical experiences that we can bring on board. They have a lot of academic questions as well. Last but not least, this mentorship must go, in my opinion, beyond just them being better broadcasters. A question was brought in earlier of how to manage stardom. Now, we are dealing also with young people who are stars even before they go on air. They have massively big egos that have to be managed at the beginning. And worse still, these egos must be managed after broadcast, because they're having shorter stints in the broadcasting industry. You're no longer going to stay on air for 20 years. People are staying for 3 years, 4 years, and they're out. How can we help them manage failure, manage massive layoffs that Catherine Mwende has alluded to? I think in terms of mentorship, we must also think about the ways in which we can bring all this together to be harnessed into one concrete program, which might also entail Dr. Khisa and there are other people also looking at how they can infuse this in their curriculum to be able to bring out better prepared broadcasters. I don't know if I asked a question, I don't know if I've made a comment, but I thought I should just bring that out. Thank you.
I also have something I want to talk about. I would like to make a contribution.
Who is that?
Josephine.
Josephine Karani, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Chris, Dr. I'm also very grateful for Esther's contribution as regards mentorship. I have a lot of passion for mentorship because I'm a trained mentor. We've been mentored by the same institution with the Dr. Khisa, with the Wareta, who I think is also here, and other journalists on mentorship for journalists. For me, at the moment, I'm involved in mentorship for young university students, journalism students. And we are a group of women journalists who are empowering young girls who are doing journalism in colleges. And for me, I think it needs to start right at college level, not when they are out here. And Esther, my question is, how can we mentor young girls who are getting into this profession right from the start? How can we tell them that this is the right place to be because they have their fears and their uncertainties, especially during this time? So for me, I would like to learn more on what I can impart to college students, journalism students, because this is an area where I have a lot of interest, and several colleagues who are in this APB are also members of our mentorship through the IWAT International, the International Association of Women in Radio and Television, which is our professional association of women in media. So really, I would like to get more tips on what information to impart to students who are doing journalism. This is the third year we are mentoring students from various universities. We've done University of Nairobi, we've done Maseno University. We are right now involved with 4 other public universities of TUM, Masai Mara, MUST, and Moi University. So Esther, I would like tips, and maybe beyond here, we may engage you to give us a way forward on how to really maximize on mentorship for young journalists, women who are studying in the universities. Thank you so much.
I think
just
Esther,
a quick comment. Just a quick comment.
That should be the last one because of time, please.
Can I ask a question, please?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Prof.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. As the youngster said, I've been around for quite some time. I'm one of those people on the verge of exiting. But I just want to make a small contribution to what Esther said. I think that presentation was so good, and I think one of the things that APB could do is to come up with a fellowship program for veterans, where veterans are supported to spend some time in a university, say for a month or 2, to mentor youngsters in those universities, so that we have a formal process of actually getting one of the veterans to spend time through a fellowship program from APB. I think that would really be useful to the youngsters in our universities. Thank you very much.
Laura, I think it has to be very quick because we are running out of time, please.
Thank you so much.
Laura,
thank you, organizers of APB. Good morning, everyone. Esther, Dr. Daktari, there's just one question I need to ask. I don't know whether I'm pushing this too far, but I'm asking whether in colleges, in campuses, and the higher institutions of learning, if, as much as we appreciate what has been done and how we have been doing things in the past, can these institutions now have courses that are tailor-made to prepare future broadcasters for the future? That's my question. Thank you, and thank you for organizing this.
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the things that I would like to, before Dr. Kingori takes it, I would like to answer, I think that was not Bernard, yeah. Collins, I think he had asked about who qualifies to be APB. You know, APB Constitution is a home for broadcasters from age 18 and above who stand to benefit a lot from the wisdom and experience of the veterans. So, Collins, as much as you're young, as long as you're 18, you are free to come on board. And then the other thing Josephine has raised is the issue of like some of us who have, by the grace of God, we have had a chance to be in broadcasting, and we have gone to teaching. I think we have been deliberately, for example, me, I have been deliberately having like the exit class for broadcasters. The exit class, normally we talk about having students, the expectations of students when they go out there in the field. And then number two, we have been inviting guests to come and speak to the young broadcasters who are almost graduating the fourth years. So they are talked to about the expectations they feel by broadcasters. I think I have had some of you come to speak to my students. So I think that's one way, but I suggest that now APB is there. We will try to formalize with like people like Professor Kabaji, who are very well rooted in training institutions, Dr. Kingori and myself, so that we can have that formal engagement and see how we can be having veteran broadcasters come to do the mentorships in those universities, talk to them and do maybe formal mentorship programs. I think, Dr. Kingori, you could add on that because I know you normally do much of that.
Thank you, Dr. Khisa, for helping me answer some of these questions. Because we are a team and I may not have answers for all of them. Just to comment on what Professor Kabaji said, he suggested, could we have a fellowship program for veterans in universities? That's a great idea. And I think we can sit down with the association and see how this can be done. Then there is Laura Okal who talked about, do we have courses for the future? Most universities are in the process of doing that because as we are seeing, we can no longer continue teaching with material that existed like 10 years ago. Journalism and the media space is changing constantly. So most universities are revising their curriculum so that they fit into what the media is currently. Then there was a question about how can we mentor young girls or college girls. This is a very good question because being formally in the industry and in the newsroom, many young girls get into the newsroom and they are shocked by what happens there. There are some practices that we know that are not very good, things like sexual harassment. So I do agree that young girls must, and university and college girls must be given those skills. How do you survive in the newsroom? How do you maintain your dignity and yet still maintain your job? So these are things that we need to constantly talk with young girls. We need to instill in them self-esteem so that they don't think that they need to give up their body so that they get positions. So these are conversations that we can continue having even as we launch this association. Dr. Khisa, I don't know whether I've answered all the questions.
I think you've done good. So I think we could move maybe to the next presenter for the.
Just a moment, Dr.
Catherine Donye had actually.
Dr. Just a.
Yes, Dr. Tua.
Yeah, I was trying to get you to your attention. Yes, I
Yes.
wanted to say I'm really, really, really thrilled to hear the kind of comments that are coming from these esteemed personalities. And I want to say, Dr. Esther and the rest of you, I mean, it's really gratifying. But there's a question that I think it was Josephine Karani about mentorship of young women journalists and so on. I think we need to collaborate with AMWIC. I don't know whether AMWIC is still up and running. And I want to give a proposal that the future lies in virtual engagements and digital approach to doing business. I mean, re-engineering our business. I'm sure, Dr. Khisa, if you are conducting any classes now, more or less, they must be now moving towards the digital space as opposed to people going to the River College where we used to teach. I'm encouraging. I wish we could, because now the digital space gives us the latitude to start our own university, and we don't have to plead with anybody to accommodate what we are saying. We can have the APB Institute of, something, and start right away and make contributions. I am involved in another forum that is run by Dr. Wale Akinyemi, and we are running something we are calling Street University, which is like a mall, a big mall where you aggregate content, you come with your content, for learning, and it's like a big mall, but you pick a shop within the mall and bring your content. And I'm imagining how great it would be if there was APB Institute registered immediately online, and we encourage these young people to come, and then we engage you. And institutions like KFCB, Media Council, and all these institutions that have government money that are committed towards redeeming the image of broadcasting, coming in and putting money and getting our people to train. I want to say that is something that I will encourage, and we can start by even offering courses for the veterans to know how to use technology, how to tweet, how to engage in meetings like this without making noise or throwing stones at the background. There's a way. This is a new normal. So I know the challenges that come with it. As KFCB, I would be willing to offer that course and to arrange with the trainers who can be picking 15 or so until all of us who need that training are trained. But I want to give the challenge. Can we start the Association of Professional Broadcasters Institute or something, or university, and go online and offer courses online and start making money and start contributing to the narrative of changing broadcasting in Kenya and the region?
Wow.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mutua. That is very brilliant. I am for that. If it's a vote, I'll give it 150% vote. Actually, it's a very brilliant idea, and I think amongst us, I could see Dr. Muhatia trying to peep. I hope she's going to have an opportunity also to tell us one of the things, the experience she has in training. But due to time, I think I would like to move to the next. We'd like to move to the next session, and it's my pleasure, like I had done earlier, to present to you the next moderator, Catherine Donye, a radio producer, and a lady who is still keeping